Hello, friends. It's me again. And it's time for another part of RK and the many adventures there within. From our friend Hate the Beard. This is part 5. I can't believe we're all the way up to part 5. Here we go. So, after the condom incident, I refused to interact with RK unless I had to. And I was polite in the few times that I had to speak to him. BB was so upset for how RK acted and blamed me for it. What? They were both threatening to kick me out at this point because I did not want to be friends with RK anymore. I was really scared my boyfriend and I were going to be homeless, and had to start being nicer to RK if I wanted to keep living in this hellhole. They demanded to see our receipts because they thought we were wasting money on frivolous things that could instead go to the house. We refused to do this, and instead gave them a quote with how much we spend on the house each month. Even if we were buying whatever, it was not any of their business. Percival, Cal, and I all reiterated that them wanting to see receipts was toxic and unhealthy, as well as none of their business. Yeah. When we asked them if we could see their receipts, they refused, because they bought a brand new TV, tobacco and rolling papers, weed, and Lord knows what else. This they had all bought with their work checks, while they were simultaneously $700 behind on their part of the rent. RK had begun working at a chicken plant after he quit Sonic for reasons unknown. Thankfully, this also swiftly ended his relationship with the high school senior. Some of you may think, what's the big deal? She's 1 year under the limit, and no, the legal limit is 18 for a reason, and he's 23 turning 24, and he already had a boyfriend, just no. I agreed when I first heard this story that was really, really creepy. You don't have to reiterate that for me. But RK's new job came with a bigger paycheck, none of which was spent on rent, to my knowledge, because a big storm was brewing and we were about to find ourselves in the mercy of our crackhead landlords. You see, Christmas came and went, and for a few weeks, everything was peaceful. I started giving them my customer service smile and avoiding them at every opportunity. RK's obsession with me went to creepy levels, and I told him that I was very uncomfortable having any kind of relationship with someone who would so easily take advantage of me and has zero respect for my privacy or private belongings. BB took this as advice for revenge against me. He started taking things that did not belong to him and either losing or breaking them and refusing to pay me back for the replacements. He cut up a heating blanket that my aunt had given me because I recently been diagnosed with anemia at the time. Wow, what an asshole. The heating blanket was in tethers. Even Cal yelling at them that they need to pay me back went nowhere. Their cat pissed on $300 worth of my shoes that were in my closet. Their cat pissed on Percival's shoes. RK started to be sexually aggressive towards Percival in private since I was no longer paying him any attention. RK kept talking about how he wanted to be in a relationship with Percival, and if Percival ever felt like sex, he should go to him. Ew. He kept making excuses to brush up against Percival and touching him in very inappropriate places. Oh my god. Punch that man in the throat. RK kept pestering Percival about how I didn't want to spend any time with him anymore, and this led him to begging Percival to spend more time with them. Percival was getting freaked out, and RK and BB would not stop. And then, during a Dr. Percival session, where RK would come and moan to Percival about all of his problems, he suddenly stopped, looked at Percival, and said, "Do you ever masturbate to the sound of BB and I having sex on the other side of your wall?"
Oh my god!
I'm sorry, I'm trying not to throw up. That's possibly one of the creepiest things I have ever seen said to another human being. Wow. because their rooms shared a wall. Percival blew up and reminded him that they were just friends. You need to stop. I cannot believe you. RK got mad and said, "Can't you take a joke? It's not even that serious." And promptly saw himself out of Percival's room. Real fucking classy guy. Percival proceeded to call the hospital and had himself admitted because RK was just too much at this point. RK and BB would visit him after Cal and I, and would neg Percival, telling him that Cal and I hated him and that we were glad that he was gone. Percival knew it was bullshit because Cal and I had just been there to see him, and we were very concerned for his well-being. Shortly after Percival returned from the hospital a week later, a storm blew in. Lightning, thunder, rain was coming down like a true gully washer. Gully washer is a southern term, literally meaning the rain creates a gully, for you Yankees that might not know any southern slang. I didn't know that, and I'm from South Louisiana. Anybody north of I-55 is a Yankee. Just saying. The water rose out of the ditches and into the junkyard, effectively washing half the junk down the highway. There's 3 feet of water outside our door, and it was coming in. Half of our belongings got soaked and ruined, including our mattresses, because we're too poor for bed frames. And we all banded together, putting our differences aside, to rescue as much of our belongings as we could and find a hotel that would accept our pets. We went back in the morning to ask our landlords if they could put us up somewhere, and they said, "You can leave." They were evicting us, because RK was $700 behind on the rent. We were furious with RK for lying to us about paying his part, but we couldn't do anything about it now. In an effort to make us move faster, the landlord cut our electricity. So we called the sheriff, but he said there wasn't anything we could do unless we wanted to go to court. So we just tucked tail and crashed at a hotel. We rented a storage locker for our furniture and made a plan. Cal was the only one with credit good enough to be accepted by a local realty firm, and that meant that he was going to be head of the household on this lease. We found this really nice cottage and worked out a deal with the landlord in the terms of our animals. The only problem was, we only had 2 bedrooms. No one wanted to share a room with RK and BB, so Cal and I bit the bullet and shared our room with Percival. We got dividers, and it wasn't that bad sharing a room. Our only problem was that as soon as BB and RK moved into their room, it started to smell like feet and would eventually become so overwhelming that Percival and I would gag. But that is a tale for another day. You know, I've probably said this with every installment of this story as it continues. I didn't think that they could possibly continue to get worse, but lo and behold, it's like some kind of a strange miracle, ain't it? Sometimes you think that that's enough. You think that they have been these poor people, all of these wonderful people have been put through enough, but somehow RK finds a way to sink even fucking lower, don't he? Like, jeez. And BB, the ever-patient enabler. Wow. You ever... Okay. I'm sure by now most of you already know the phrase, or I don't know why I'm even clarifying it like this. You know that whole thing where it's like, some people are just made for each other. Yeah, that also applies in a very negative sense with very much, again, like a very southern thing. I've heard that said at different places down here a lot. It's like, they're made for each other because they're both awful. And that's exactly what I'm seeing here, is I really would hope that they could, much like, people in the past, like, again, it's the reason why I try not to read stories about, like, teenage neckbeards or school-age neckbeards too much, because you hope those people would kind of grow out of that. But it very much seems like these are grown adults, and they're both just as horrible as each other, and they really don't have any plans on changing. That's just going to be their whole life forever, I guess. I cannot imagine finding out that the person that you trusted to be in charge of all this stuff just basically did not pay the rent and fucked you over like that, though. I don't know how you guys just didn't, be like, okay, well, we got this cottage, it's got 2 bedrooms. Well, what about us? Well, good fucking luck. You're much nicer than I would have been, that's for damn sure. Because if somebody had done that kind of shit to me, just intentionally broken a bunch of my stuff, being like a weird fucking molester, all kinds of shit like that, no, man. I would have fucking thrown that asshole out on the curb. First chance I got. First fucking chance. Because that is just 10 kinds of not okay. Jesus. Anyway, that's the end of this story. That's the end of this video. So, thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. I don't know where the next part of this leads. It just keeps getting more and more interesting as it goes, doesn't it? Thank you all for being here. And if you enjoyed this, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I think that still does something. I don't know. It's YouTube. And I have a merch store and a Ko-Fi. If you want to help support this channel, check those out. It's pretty cool. There's some stuff in there. Sales should be coming back for that merch store soon. I don't know. Threadless says they're making new stuff. I'm really hoping for it to come out soon. I've seen their announcements. I'm kind of excited. But I don't know when it's coming out. So that's, I can't tell you anything. Either way, I love you all so very much. If you have your own story to send me, send it to my subreddit. That's where I get all my stories these days, so check it out if you want to. But either way, thanks for being here. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.